Changing of a political culture. President Maithripala reminisces his first steps towards establishing a regime of good governance 3 years ago. Survival of the economy. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe insists Sri Lanka must embrace liberalization.
If we don't enter this, that's the end of Sri Lanka's industry.
State Minister Rajapakse fields questions on his contacts with Arjuna Aloysius.
If you appoint it, can you do your work with other? I said, sir, I can.
Case against delimitation gazette. Several civil society activists allege that certain political representatives in an effort of postponing mini polls. Making headlines from world news. Fighting nuclear weapons and missiles. US President Donald Trump puts North Korea back on list of state sponsors of terrorism. Bring you news from home and across the world. This is First at 9 on Derana 24/7. Good evening, I'm Katharina Chang. Now on to your top story tonight. President Maithripala today recollected a challenge he accepted exactly 3 years ago. He made remarks at a function held to celebrate the addition of 100 megawatts generated using solar power to the national grid within 1 year.
Although you may have forgotten, I remember today's importance very well. I remember what happened exactly 3 years ago on a day like today. That is a good example for achieving targets. On the same day of November in 2014, I was addressing a press briefing at the new town hall in Colombo, where I took a historical step towards a vision. When we work as a regime, we have to face criticism and numerous allegations. As a democratic regime, we respect them. Some question us as to what change was brought about. We say the change is beneficial for the people of this country. Why? 3 years ago, the international community took the first step towards imposing economic sanctions on us. Everywhere, including the political arena and parliament, they spoke about an electric share. We changed their situation. The international community today asked how they could assist us. This morning, I received a telephone call from Qatar and they said they would like to assist us on setting up a modern city anywhere we like. I'm extremely happy that I was able to take the first step towards a good governance concept. You can decide whether we failed or succeeded only after the government's official term ends.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe departed to India for a state visit today. According to our correspondent, the Premier left for Bangalore on a Sri Lankan airline aircraft at around 1:10 this morning. The Prime Minister will attend the opening ceremony of the 5th Global Conference on Cyberspace, which will commence under the patronage of Indian Premier Narendra Modi on Thursday in New Delhi. In the meantime, the Prime Minister's office said that Premier Wickremesinghe will hold bilateral discussions with the Indian Premier and call on the President of India. Now, Speaker Karu Jayasuriya informed Parliament today that the matter pertaining to ministerial privileges will be directed to the Committee on Parliamentary Privileges for investigation. Many members of Parliament, including Leader of the House, raised complaints that ministerial privileges were violated after phone conversations pertaining to the central bank bond inquiry were made public.
Many members of Parliament expressed views regarding testimonies and statements discussed during the proceedings of the Commission of Inquiry on central bank bond issuances. Several MPs, including the Leader of the House, made complaints claiming ministerial privileges were violated during these proceedings. I believe the matter should be investigated by the Parliamentary Privileges Committee. I will also discuss the same with the party leaders for further action needed. The CID carried out investigation as per directives of the Commission of Inquiry. Chairman of the Commission emphasized that no phone conversation of any MP was tapped. So the matter of ministerial privileges that was raised by the Leader of the House is actually misleading. I'm not against these investigations. All I talk against was the information being made public. The information was with the police and the Attorney General. How did the newspapers get to know them? That's where it had gone wrong. The Presidential Commission is a commission that opened its proceedings for public. Nobody could therefore leak any information to the media. The whole world knows that this government is not covering up any fraudulent activities.
Former President Mahinda Rajapakse alleges that authorities show signs of an imminent arrest of former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapakse. He levelled the allegation addressing the 20th summit of the All-Island Samuridi Development and Agricultural Research Production Assistant Officers Society, which was held in Colombo today.
This government takes so much revenge that its primary target has become Mahinda Rajapakse and his family. They will then target all remaining officials. The former Defence Secretary will soon face the same fate of imprisonment. We raised our voice against the government and constitution. With the formation of the Eli organization against the proposed new constitution, the only way to suppress it would be the imprisonment of Gotabaya. They easily use the word state property to accuse us. The judiciary has been misled.
Sri Lanka Freedom Party says it hopes to take necessary legal measures after the 8th of next month, when the report of the Presidential Commission of Inquiry will be submitted to the President. In the meantime, different views were expressed in the political arena on the issue.
The Working Committee of Sri Lanka Freedom Party convenes at 7:30 p.m. tomorrow. We are going to emphasize to the President that people of this country are looking forward to measures that will be taken on this issue. Due to accusations levelled against good governance as a result of this scam, to divert the attention, they have got advice to arrest former Defence Secretary Gotabaya Rajapakse, who gave leadership to the war, Basil Rajapakse, who is in charge of the election campaign, or any other member of the Rajapakse family. The President has no other alternative but to sack these ministers. We should thank the Bond Commission and the Prime Minister for humbly appearing before the Commission. That is not what Mahinda Rajapakse does. He is accompanied by thousands, levels allegation of political revenge, disgraces court proceedings, hold gatherings and vows to take revenge when they come into power. The UMP couldn't gain money as desired. Therefore, they committed this to cover the 20 years of arrears they were not in power. A telephone conversation can't make anyone a culprit. They haven't listened to the conversation yet. We don't know if they called just to take on each other or to discuss any issues. There was a scam. I'm a member of the COB. The Commission will issue the verdict. The UMP and the former governor of the central bank are responsible for this. We summoned him and questioned him. It was proven during the questioning.
In the meantime, convening a media briefing, State Minister of International Trade Wickremesinghe responded to questions raised by media on the number of contacts he had with former Director of Perpetual Treasuries, Arjuna Aloysius.
අජුන මහේන්ද්‍ර මහත්තයා තොරතුරක් දුන්නද කියලා මට ලැබුණු තොරතුරු අනුව මම දන්නේ නැහැ. හැබැයි එතුමා නෙමෙයි තීන්දුව ගත්තේ බිලියන් 9 ගන්න. ඒක ගත්තේ ඩෙඩ් ඩිපාර්ට්මන්ට් එකේ. බලන්න ඕනේ හරියට විගණාධිපතිතුමාගෙන් කෝල් කීයක් ගියාද ඔය කෝප් කමිටුවේ සමාජිකයන්ට. විගණාධිපතිතුමාට තව කොහෙන්ද කෝල් ආවේ? විගණාධිපතිතුමාට කෝප් කමිටුවේ සමාජිකයන් කෝල් කරන එක වැරදි කියලා තොරතුරු ආවේ. යම් පිරිසක් විසින් වැඩි වශයෙන් කරනවා නම් ඒකේ මොකක් හරි යම් කිසි තුමාට උමනාවක් වුණාද පක්ෂ නායකත්වයේ වුණද නැත්නම් වෙන කාටවත් උමනාවක් වුණොත් තුමා ඒක ඇතුළට දාන්න ඊට පුළුවන් කාලවල. ක්‍රියාල මහත්මයා මේක ගිහිලා අගමැතිතුමාට කිව්වා සුජීව has a good knowledge of this, sir, why don't we appoint him කියලා අගමැතිතුමාගේ මයින් ඇහුවා if you appoint it can you do your work with other, I said sir I can කියලා. දැන් ඔබතුමා කියන විදිහට ඔබතුමා කරපු වැඩේ සදාචාරාත්මකද? මොකද්ද? ඔබතුමා එලසිස් මාත්‍යත් එක්ක දුරකථනයෙන් සංවාද කළා. සදාචාරාත්මකයි අපිට අයිතිය තියෙනවා කෝප් කමිටුවේ සමාජිකයන්ට පුළුවන් ඕනම මතයක් දරන්න. අපේ පක්ෂයේ වෙනුවෙන් ඒකේ කිසිම සදාචාරාත්මක වරදක් නැහැ. මම එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය ආරක්ෂා කරනවා. නෑ ස්වාධීන පරීක්ෂණය වෙන්නේ අපි සියලු දෙනාම එකක වෙලා ඒක තීන්දුව ගන්නෙ. මම වැරදි කියලා හිතමුකෝ. කොහොමේ දැන් කෝප් කමිටුවේ වාර්තාවේ තියෙනවා බැඳුම් කර ගනුදෙනුව වංචාවක් කියලා කොහේ හරි. මම ජනාධිපතිතුමාට කිව්වා. මම සර් මේ පොත ලියන්නයි අවශ්‍ය කරුණු ටික මම සාකච්ඡා කරන දේවල්දී මම කතා කරලා තියෙනවා කියලා. දයාශීලී ජයසේකර අමාත්‍යවරයා කිව්වේ මෙහෙම කතාවක්. ප්‍රසිද්ධිය පාරමිත. ඔව් මට කතා කරන අවස්ථා දෙකක් තුමාට කිව්වා නම් හොඳයිනේ. දුන්න දැන් අවස්ථාවක් තියෙනවා. මට නම් කතා කළේ මේක එහෙම කියන්නේ. නෑ ඒකනේ මම කිව්වේ මට එහෙම බොරු කියන්න ඕනේ නෑනේ. මට කතා කරේ අරකට මේකටයි දෙපාර තුන්පාර කතා කරන්නේ මොකටද එහෙනම් කතා කරන්න එකපාරින් කියනනේ බෑ කියලා ඉවරනේ. මගේ පොත ලියනකොට මං ඒ ඇලෝසිස් කතා කරන්නේ වෙන කයින් අහන්නද? ඇලෝසිස්ගේ අම්මට කතා කරන්නේ නැත්නම් තාත්තට කතා කරලා අහන්නේ. එහෙමනම් මෙතන වැරද්දක් එතකොට මම පිළිගන්නවානේ මම එතකොට මේ පරාජය පිළිගන්නවා. එතකොට මේ ඒ සම්බන්ධ ඔබතුමාත් එක්ක විවාද කරන්න මම වෙන තැනකට එන්නම්. නෑ එහෙම නෙමෙයි. හරි බොහොම සුත්. හරි මම ඊතර දෙන්න. මට ඉල්ලා අසුන්නේ මට ඕමන නැති හින්දා. බොහොම ස්තුතියි.
Chief of Staff of former President Rajapakse, Gamini Senarath, and the two other suspects who were charged with misappropriation of public funds were released on bail today. The verdict was delivered by Colombo Fort Magistrate Lanka when the suspects were produced before the court today.
Colombo Fort Magistrate Lanka Jayaratna ordered the release of the three suspects, including the former President's Chief of Staff, Gamini Senarath, on two sureties of 1 million rupees and cash bail of 50,000 rupees each. The court also imposed an overseas travel ban on Gamini Senarath and Piyadasa Kudabalage, ordering them to submit their passports to the court. The petitions filed against Deputy Minister of Social Empowerment, Welfare and Kandyan Heritage, Ranjan Ramanayaka, accusing him of contempt of court, was taken up at the Supreme Court today. Two petitions had been filed against the Deputy Minister by Venerable Magalakande Sudantathera and retired Air Force officer Sunil Pereira, alleging that Ramanayaka insulted the judiciary and lawyers at a press conference held on the 21st of August.
Civil society activists allege that major political parties are behind the attempts to postpone the upcoming local government elections. Representatives of PAFL and CAFE made these remarks at a media briefing held in Colombo today.
6 citizens have gone before the appeals court saying that the Ashoka Piris committee had misused their powers. We'd like to ask these citizens who made the complaints whether they had at any point attempted to communicate with the members of the committee. We request them to appear before the media and disclose as to how their rights have been violated. The particular case will be taken up at the Court of Appeal tomorrow. Even if the hearings are continued, there won't be a problem in holding local government election in the entities that are not listed under the particular case.
කිසිදු බාධාවකින් තොරව මේ නඩුකරේට අදාළ නොවන පළාත් පාලන ආයතනවල ඡන්දය පැවැත්වීමේ කිසිදු බාධාවක් නැහැ. මේ උත්සාහය රජය එක්සත් ජාතික පක්ෂය
The two main parties of the good governance regime are attempting to postpone local government election through the Ministry of Provincial Council and local government. Now they are trying to hold off the elections just when the Election Commission declares the date to call for the nominations. We believe that citizens have the right to go to courts in this regard. But this shameless political leadership should not be allowed to carry on with this kind of act.
ලැජ්ජා නැති දේශපාලන නායකත්වයට මේ වැඩේ මේ විදිහට කරන්නට ඉඩ ලබා දිය යුතු නැහැ.
Deputy Minister of Health Faisal Qasim calls for strict law enforcement action to control alcohol consumption in the country. He made the remark at the symposium on alcohol, health and economy held at the Sri Lanka Foundation today.
The National Authority on Tobacco and Alcohol organised the Symposium on Alcohol, Health and Economy in collaboration with the Directorate of Mental Health. The symposium aimed to revisit policy and strategies taken to address the issue of alcohol usage.
Especially in the Jaffna district and Vanya, all those districts, the woman comes on the road and protests to take away the liquor shop in their areas, as well as in the upcountries. This is a big challenge for these women, which there was no end for them still. When they give the permit, they say, you shouldn't be 500 meters away from the school, 500 meters away from the temple. Though the rules are there, but it's not implemented. The government looks the revenue and the public on a disaster. I'm sorry to say, the policeman doesn't do his duty. He has been underbribed. I have to say openly this. The police department has to involve very seriously in this matter.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Derana 24/7.
Welcome back to the news. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says Sri Lanka must move swiftly towards trade liberalization if the country's economy is to survive global competition. Speaking at the Business Today Top 30 awards ceremony last evening, the Premier encouraged businessmen to reap benefits obtained through free trade agreements for market expansion.
Commenting on Standard & Poor's upgrade of the outlook of Sri Lanka's B+ rating from negative to stable yesterday, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe pointed out that the government was able to successfully maintain its reform momentum.
Just says that our stabilization program is working. I need not tell you the mess we inherited. As I said in the commission, we didn't know what our obligations were. But only part of the projects were in the budget and others were hidden. So it was like looking for the dead bodies. And we still haven't found all the dead bodies.
Premier Wickremesinghe also spoke on the importance of accelerating growth in order to ensure that the debt burden is eased in the short term.
We cannot do this by ourselves. We haven't got sufficient capital. We have placed too much of reliance on government spending. In the last 10 years, our GDP had increased nearly 4 to 5-fold. But our exports have increased only 2-fold. So you have growth with a lot of wasted investments. First, we want to encourage our local private sector to expand and at the same time encourage foreign investment.
He cited that market liberalization is a must in the near term.
No country has developed utilizing only its domestic market. And this is the way that Asia is going. There are 2 big trading initiatives going on in Asia Pacific which will certainly lay the foundation for a liberalized trading area. The first of these is the ASEAN-led initiative, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. The next one is the TPP or the Trans-Pacific Partnership. What do we do in Sri Lanka? Do we join this or do we stay out saying we can't get in there? Then all the way from India to Canada to Mexico and to Chile, you have access to markets. But it also means they have access to your markets. It works both ways. If we stay outside that, then we are outside this big market of nearly 3 billion people. If we don't enter this, that's the end of Sri Lanka's industry. In the long term, it's the end of Sri Lanka's economy. It means that we have to compete and survive in a global trading system.
Business Today Top 30 Awards ceremony recognizing the top 30 public listed corporates of the country for financial year 2016-2017 was held in Colombo last evening under the patronage of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. John Keel's Holdings clinched first place for the 8th consecutive year, while Hatton National Bank and Commercial Bank were awarded 2nd and 3rd place respectively. In lieu of the 20th anniversary of the award ceremony, 13 individuals were recognized for their work in bringing recognition to Sri Lanka in the international arena under the Passionate Award category.
Sri Lanka's inflation hit a high of 8.8% in October from a year ago. According to the Department of Census and Statistics, the National Consumer Price Index for the month of September 2017 was 8.6%. The Statistics Department noted that the increase in inflation is mainly due to comparatively lower price levels that prevailed in October last year, particularly prices of coconuts, rice and vegetables. On a month-on-month basis, consumer prices rose 1.2% during last month, accelerating from a 0.8% in the September this year. From the Colombo Stock Exchange to future investments, here is a look at other stories making news in business and economics.
The Colombo Stock Exchange and Korea Exchange agreed to establish a collaborative relationship focused on mutual development opportunities with the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding. It was inked by Chairman of Korea Stock Exchange, Ji-won Jung, and CSE Chairman Ray Abeyewardena in Seoul before the Sri Lankan Ambassador to South Korea, Manisha Gunasekara. The MOU paves way for collaboration between the Colombo Bourse and Korea Exchange in the areas of new product development, inequity and finance derivatives, new technology, business strategy and post-trade technology and systems. A delegation comprising 30 senior government officials from China visited Sri Lanka recently as part of a fact-finding mission to ascertain potential trade and investment in the fields of tourism, construction, manufacturing and light industries in Sri Lanka. The delegations, hosted by the Board of Investment of Sri Lanka, was led by Vice Chief Executive of Xi Jinping District of Beijing, Xiao Ping, and Vice Director General of the Department of Commerce of China, Sun Guohua. The 14th Annual Best Corporate Citizen Sustainability Award 2017, organized by the Ceylon Chamber of Commerce to recognize performers in corporate sustainability, will be held on Thursday under the auspices of Japanese Ambassador in Sri Lanka, Kenichi Suganuma. Global expert on corporate sustainability, David Bent, will deliver the keynote address.
Colombo boosts extended losses despite high foreign investor activity. The ASPI dropped 15.14 to end at 6,458.73, while the S&P SL decreased by 3.53 to close at 3,781.05. Market turnover increased to 1.5 billion rupees, driven by crossings of 1.2 billion seen in Dialogue Axiata, TJ Lanka, Melster Renuka Hotels, Hemas Holdings and Nestle. Foreign investors were net buyers with a net foreign inflow of 70 million rupees. Let's cross over to Imeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange for a detailed report.
The turnover was 1.57 billion rupees with 76.6 million shares changing hands in 3,182 trades. The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,943.45 billion rupees. Today's foreign purchases were 1.34 billion rupees and foreign sales were 1.27 billion rupees. There were 12 crossings today and the crossing turnover was 1.22 billion rupees.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
US President Donald Trump put North Korea back on a list of state sponsors of terrorism, a designation which allows the US to impose more sanctions on the reclusive state. The move, which comes 9 years after North Korea was removed from the list, risks inflaming tensions of Pyongyang's nuclear weapons and missile programs.
North Korea joins Iran, Sudan and Syria on a list of countries that are deemed to have repeatedly provided support for acts of international terrorism. Announcing the decision at the White House yesterday, US President Donald Trump said it should have happened a long time ago.
In addition to threatening the world by nuclear devastation, North Korea has repeatedly supported acts of international terrorism, including assassinations on foreign soil. This designation will impose further sanctions and penalties on North Korea. It will be the highest level of sanctions by the time it's finished over a 2-week period.
Addressing media, US Secretary of State Rex Tillerson commented that while the measure was symbolic, it would close off loopholes.
It may, though, disrupt and dissuade some third parties from undertaking certain activities with North Korea, as it does impose a prohibition on a number of other activities that might not be covered by existing sanctions.
Meanwhile, Japan and South Korea welcomed the move, saying it would ramp up pressure on Pyongyang to denuclearize the Korean peninsula.
In breaking news, Zimbabwe President Robert Mugabe, the 93-year-old, resigned from his position a short while ago. The impeachment proceedings are taking place in Parliament. Zimbabwe's former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa, whose sacking led to last week's army takeover, urges President Mugabe to resign immediately during these proceedings.
Speaking from an undisclosed location today, former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa said President Robert Mugabe should heed his people and step down. Mnangagwa said he fled abroad 2 weeks ago when he learned of a plot to kill him, and he would not return to the country until he was sure of his security. Meanwhile, MPs from Zimbabwe's ruling ZANU-PF party reportedly agreed unanimously to impeach President Mugabe following a meeting at their party headquarters in the capital, Harare.
At least 50 people were killed in a suicide bombing at a mosque in the northeastern Nigerian town of Mubi today. Witnesses say the bombers were part of the congregation. With this, let's now take a look at some other stories making news across the world.
The mosque was packed with worshippers during morning prayers when the bomber struck. No one has claimed responsibility, but the Islamist militants Boko Haram typically target crowded places in northern Nigeria. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says she prefers fresh elections to leading a minority government after a breakdown in coalition talks plunged the country into political crisis. Merkel, however, said she did not see any reason to resign from her post despite the failed negotiations. Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted Syrian counterpart Bashar al-Assad for talks yesterday, where the two leaders agreed that the focus in the Syrian conflict was now switching from military operations to the search for a political solution. A massive fire suspected to have involved a high-pressure gas line raged last night near Auburn Hills in Michigan. The exact cause of the fire, which triggered evacuation orders, is still under investigation.
Once again in breaking news, Parliament Speaker Jacob Mudinda says Zimbabwe's President Robert Mugabe has resigned. The surprise announcement came as lawmakers debated an impeachment motion against the 93-year-old leader in a joint sitting of Parliament. Mugabe had previously refused to resign despite last week's military takeover and days of protest against his rule. He has been in power since independence in 1980.
You are watching Sri Lanka's trusted news brand, Other Derana 24/7.
The Board of Control for Cricket in India announced 2 changes in their test squad for the next 2 matches against Sri Lanka, with Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Shikhar Dhawan pulling out. The second test between Sri Lanka and India will kick off on Friday.
Colourful, yes.
Bhuvaneshwar Kumar and Shikhar Dhawan had requested the selectors and the team management to release them owing to personal reasons. Kumar will not take any further part in the ongoing test series against Sri Lanka, and all-rounder Vijay Shankar will be his replacement. The Board of Control for Cricket in India, however, said that Shikhar Dhawan is available for selection for the 3rd test. The second test between Sri Lanka and India will kick off on Friday.
Yes.
Let's now cross over to Sadhanu Peka at the Other Derana Weather Centre.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
Good evening and welcome to the Weather Centre. This is your forecast first for the next 24 hours. Now, tomorrow's temperatures will average at around 27 degrees Celsius in coastal areas, hitting a high of 29 degrees in some places. Cooler temperatures in the low 20s will prevail in the central hills. Now, a low pressure zone will form across the island during the course of the day, spelling widespread showers and thunder showers, especially in the southwest. That's it from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
And before we go, we'd like to take you to Bolgada Lake, one of the biggest freshwater lakes in the western province. Its natural beauty and biodiversity makes Bolgada a magnet for tourism, and the fish living in its waters make it a top site for both the fisheries industry and the angling industry. Thank you for joining us and have a pleasant evening.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.